all the chief of states, we met him. They are really surprised of his humanity, this way of dealing with people, and they call him, they love him. George Bush loved him. Also Obama likes him a lot, he called very often to him.
È visto come un uomo con le sue debolezze.
He's seen as a man with weaknesses, but who has still been able to keep this country together in the last 15 years.
Negli ultimi 15 anni.
Berlusconi has come to represent stability for his voters. They love him for his energy as a man of action. Most of all, they see the billionaire businessman as having the Midas touch.
Fatemi dare questo piccolo fatto d'orgoglio. Chi c'è in Italia che può paragonare quanto a successi a qui presente il signor Berlusconi? Ditemelo.
Italy's longest-serving post-war leader began his career as a cruise ship crooner. His love of the limelight would never leave him. In his 20s, the son of a Milanese bank clerk, Berlusconi went searching for a backer to support his first property deal. Even then, he was supremely self-confident.
He went to see an entrepreneur, and since he was only 24, he dressed in black and wore a hat to look older. I spoke to this entrepreneur, who is now elderly, and he told me he'd seen this boy under a black hat and thought he was either mad or he was on the ball, so he took the risk. As for me, I'm lucky enough not to have him as my rival, because he's someone who always finds solutions to problems. Always.
He's a fantastic worker. He can work 18 hours a day. I never heard Berlusconi saying I am tired or I want to sleep. No, never. He started from nothing. He started after the university, little by little, stone by stone. He built his empire.
Berlusconi has a gift for spotting what the public want and giving it to them. In the early 1980s, recognizing that most Italians were bored with state television, Berlusconi launched his own commercial channel. His brash mix of cheap American soaps and topless women shocked the Catholic nation, but the huge ratings proved Italians secretly loved it.
Berlusconi started the TV, and the TV of Berlusconi had the ideology of vision, energy and optimism. A great vision, a great energy, a great optimism.
The property baron turned media mogul. Berlusconi nurtured high-level political contacts. By the mid-1980s, he had a virtual monopoly of Italy's commercial television. He bought the country's most famous football club, AC Milan, and expanded into newspapers, magazines and banking. By the time he became Prime Minister, Berlusconi was Italy's richest man and its most powerful media baron.
I've never seen such a sharp mind. He created television stations and became the largest commercial broadcaster. He got involved in football and won more than anyone. He went into politics and created the major party. Anyone could see this is a superior mind.
Questa è un'altra rete nostra, abbiamo 9 reti in totale, tra l'Italia e fuori. E qua facciamo...
But Italy's leader seems to have a weakness, an insatiable love of women. Even at the age of 73, it's still getting him into trouble.
E allora confermo, al di là di questo, che nella mia vita io non ho mai, neppure una volta, dovuto dare dei soldi a qualcuno per una prestazione sessuale. E le dico anche perché. Perché
Berlusconi is a charm of the old school and revels in his image as a playboy president.
Buonasera, tutto bene? Una bella faccia, guarda. Sono contento, begli occhi, siamo fortissimi. Va bene.
In May 2009, after 20 years of marriage, the second Mrs. Berlusconi, Veronica Lario, declared on the front pages of Italian newspapers that she'd had enough. But not before she'd confided her marital problems to close friend and biographer Maria Latella.
I was struck by how tense she was.
Dalla tensione emotiva che colsi in lei.
She told me she was thinking of splitting up.
Separarmi. Era successo da pochi.
A few days earlier, the newspaper La Repubblica published the news that the Prime Minister had been at the birthday party of an 18-year-old girl, Noemi Letizia.
Di una 18enne, Noemi Letizia.
The teenager admitted she had received several telephone calls from the Premier and that she affectionately calls him Papi. Berlusconi denied any impropriety, but while the Catholic Church voiced concern, the gossip columnist lapped it up.
Posso dire che è stato un colpo anche per Veronica.
It was obviously a shock for Veronica, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Goccia classica che ha fatto traboccare il vaso. Mentre disse,
Veronica added that he never came to the birthday parties of his own children.
Dei suoi figli benché invitato.
Mrs. Berlusconi filed for divorce, condemning her husband as sick and as someone who consorts with minors.
Veronica Berlusconi abbia voluto.
Veronica Berlusconi simply wanted to point out that she had long been worried by her husband's behavior.
Occupavano da tempo.
Such a scandal would have been enough to destroy many politicians, but this was just the beginning. A month later, Patrizia D'Addario, a professional escort, went to the papers with her own lurid tales of parties at Berlusconi's private palace in Rome. She said she'd been invited there by Giampaolo Tarantini, a businessman close to the Prime Minister.
My first visit to Palazzo Grazioli was in October 2008.
C'era solo Giampaolo Tarantini, il pianista.
There was Giampaolo Tarantini, the pianist, the Prime Minister, and 20 girls. It was like a harem.
Poi all'altro, diciamo, sono rimasta
I was quite surprised to find these girls were singing.
che cantavano.
They were singing Thank Goodness for Silvio and dancing along to it.
Tutte così. Io
I was one of the few who didn't know the song.
non conosceva questa canzone.
Senti, e lui vi ha mostrato anche dei filmati, Berlusconi?
Sì, ci ha mostrato.
He showed us films of some of his trips, like when he met Bush at the White House.
Bush alla Casa Bianca. Anche altri incontri.
And other meetings, like the G8.
G8 anche. E infatti mentre lui ci mostrava questi filmati c'era il...
While he was showing us these videos, his little dog, that had been given to him by Bush's wife, called Frou Frou, came up to me and I stroked him.
vicino ai miei piedi.
Berlusconi said, "Look how cute he is."
Lo carezzavo, quindi lui poi molto la mano.
He's very personable. He makes jokes. He sings. In fact, he sang that night. He dedicated several songs to me because he was sitting right in front of me.
Di fronte a me.
It appears Signor Berlusconi was much taken with Miss D'Addario. Soon she was invited back to his palazzo for a second evening.